All right, so we just got some new Manheim wholesale data, and it's showing that wholesale prices are starting to go down again. Now, this is something that we've seen at auctions for the last few weeks. If you've been watching my channel, you know that I've been saying this, no sales are up. We're starting to see prices come down. Now, if you look at this chart, we can see that back in the fall, we started to see a trend going down, and then you get this spike. And what the spike was just tax time. So every year, dealers will load up in preparation for spring selling season. You can call it whatever you want to. We have a small dealership and we sell cars for $5,000 and under. And this is the busiest time of year because we know that people will get tax checks back and they will spend them on cars, whether it's them buying cars outright from us for under $5,000 or if it's putting a down payment on a newer vehicle. They just have more money at that time and dealers sell more cars. So dealers rush to auction both before and right after these checks hit, and it causes a spike in wholesale prices. It happens every year. And the reason why that this spike was just more violent this year than you'll see in most of other years is because inventory was just down across the board. These new car dealers are not selling as many cars as they typically do. So that means they're getting less trade-ins. And that means that there's less cars on a wholesale level, less cars for dealers like me to be able to buy at auction. If there's less inventory, but higher demand from the dealer level, it's going to cause prices to spike. And that's what we saw. But it's just a blip on this chart. The trend was going to be down. We have the spike for tax time, and now we're going to continue that trend going down from here. But this data, this chart, it does not show the whole picture. So what's going on right now at auctions is that you're seeing a lot of no sales start to pop up at these wholesale dealer auctions. So you're only getting the data right now from Cox, from Manheim, on the cars that are actually selling. So I would actually say that the pricing, the actual chart should be way lower than where it is right now because you're only seeing the dealers that are willing to let go of their cars at this particular time. So as we progress through the next couple weeks or whatever, dealers will be stubborn and they'll want to still get the high prices that they have been getting the last month, the last 2 months. So they're holding on to these cars and not selling them at these auctions. And what will end up happening is you'll see this chart and you'll see a good drop whenever all these dealers, and it'll happen just about the same time because they'll all get tired of looking at these vehicles. They'll all get tired of no selling these vehicles week after week after week, and they'll all change their mind. And just it seems like it happens just over 1 or 2 week span. All these dealers just say, you know what? I'm tired of looking at these cars, just dump them. And then that's when you're going to see these wholesale prices really start to trend down because you'll get this massive wave of these dealers that have been stubborn. They change their ways. They're seeing that, you know what, wholesale prices they aren't going up from here. Dealers do not have the appetite to be able to pay these high prices. And really, a lot of these dealers that took these trade-ins a month ago and are still sitting on them, they're going to end up losing a lot of money on these trade-ins because they're going to have to just, you know what, just take their medicine, get out of the car. They should have sold it a week, 2 weeks ago. It's going to be even high, lower prices 2 weeks from now when they end up dumping these vehicles. And we've seen that a lot. I know that on my channel, you have seen me buy a truck that actually sat and ran through the auction for, I think it was like 4 weeks. They could have sold it for like $18,000 is what I bid on it like 3 or 4 weeks ago, and end up no selling it to me because they wanted 20 grand. Now we fast forward to 4 weeks from then, and they ran it again, and I only bid up to $15,400 on that truck. They ended up selling it to me. So they could have made almost $3,000 more had they sold it 3-4 weeks ago instead of holding on to it, being stubborn, trying to get more money out of dealers. And they end up just losing $3,000 by selling it to me 4 weeks later. So you're going to see a lot of dealers that are in this same situation, a lot of these franchise, these new car stores. And once they just realize, you know what, prices aren't going up from here, that's when you're going to start seeing them cutting bait, and that's when you'll start seeing the numbers in the data start really going down because you have to get these cars to actually sell before they show up. And another thing that we're seeing a lot on this wholesale level is repos. Repos are going way up. And the thing about repos is that they traditionally bring a lot less money than trade-ins do. So if we have a lot more repos come in than trade-ins, that's going to even further push the prices down of the wholesale data, because repos, when they come in, they're usually nasty. There's something wrong with them. They got check engine lights. They have body damage. They're not very desirable. There's a few that you can get through and buy, and they're right because the customer didn't have it for a very long time. But typically, cars that get repoed, customers do not take care of them because usually they know that they're going to have those cars repoed. So why get the oil change? Why fix this little thing on the car when you know that it's just going to go right back to the dealer? So as we see these repos start to go up, as we're seeing right now, the wholesale values are going to go down because these repos are going to bring less money than these better trade-ins that dealers like me would rather buy. So now this is the first domino that has to fall before you can start seeing prices come down on the retail side. Wholesale prices have to come down first. These dealers have to get better deals. They have to be able to buy these cars cheaper before they can sell them cheaper. Now you're going to have a lot of dealers that as we go through the next 3-4 weeks, they're able to buy stuff cheaper at the auction, and they're still going to try to just hit a home run on it and charge what they had been charging a month, 2 months ago. But you know what? There's going to be other dealers that are out there like me that when we buy a car, we price it off what we paid for the car and not necessarily what the car is worth. So dealers like me are going to help push the prices down, because as the wholesale prices come down, that means we can sell prices cheaper. And there's other dealers out there just like me that price cars just like I do, and they're going to be the ones that actually help the market come back down. These greedy dealers that want to gouge people, that want to hit home runs on every single vehicle, they're just going to end up not selling their car because they have other competition out there. They have me, they have other dealers that are similar to me that are going to be lowering their prices. And all these dealers are going to have to lower their prices if some of them do, because how cars are bought right now is you look for the price on the internet. So you're able to compare, and that's how everyone shops. So people are looking for a price point. So if some dealers have lower prices than others, then the dealers that have the cheaper prices, they're going to be ones selling them, and the ones that are trying to still get a very big money out of these cars, they're going to have to lower their prices because they're going to end up just not selling any of their vehicles. So we have new data from Cox Automotive about their day's supply of a lot of these trucks that we've been saying the day supply is going way up. Inventories are going way up. These dealers are actually getting hurt in this inventory right now. And GM and Ford basically said, nuh-uh. No, so they said that Cox Automotive's estimates are way too high. But they're actually not giving any of their data to justify why they think they're too high, or they're not giving out their numbers to say what they think their day supply is. But anyway, we got Ram 1500s. We know those are the worst for us, the supply crisis right now, and that's they have 108 days supply. So what these new car dealers, what they like to have, their sweet spots like between 50 and 60 days. And for Rams to be double that, 108 days, and that's going to get worse. So as you see the months go along, they're going to have to cut their supply, or they're just going to overrun their dealers with these trucks, and they're not selling them right now. They're even coming off prices. They're selling these trucks in a lot of cases at dealer invoice, and they're still not able to sell them. That's just because they're $60,000, $70,000. People in this environment right now and these interest rates, they can't afford them. So Ford's one that I have been paying attention to so much because I think it's going to be worse than Ram 1500's problems right now as far as inventory levels go, because I go to a lot of these dealers and I see these F-150s. They're just stacked up everywhere, and they're really not coming off their prices yet. I know I've seen a lot in the comments. These Ford dealers are starting to really work with customers. I'm not seeing it off the stickers, but I know that if you go in there, you can actually negotiate on an F-150 right now, and it's because of this right here. Cox Automotive says that they have 97 days supply. So 2 months ago, we saw that they had 50-something days supply, and there was record of last month that they were up into the 80s, and now they're jumping 97 to 97 in just a week or two. It's going to be really, really bad in a month, in 2 months for these Ford dealers. And you know what? Ford is still pumping out these trucks, and they're just shoving them down these dealers' throats. And something's going to break at some point. These dealers have to do these fire sales. They're going to have to offer special financing. They're not doing it yet, but they can't live with having a 100-day supply of these F-150s, and it's not getting any better, and it's not going to get any better because the economy is not going to do anything but get worse in the upcoming months. These trucks are not going to be doing anything but getting more unaffordable for people that want to buy them because, I mean, the cost of living is just, it continues to rise. Maybe we've peaked on inflation, but either way, people's savings are getting just demolished right now, and they don't have room to be able to pay this $1,200, $1,500 brand new truck payment. So they're not going to get rid of the vehicles that they have and upgrade. They're just going to stay pat with what they have. They're not buying any brand new F-150s. But just to run down the rest of the numbers, so on average, just across the market, the full-size pickup truck, the average day supply is 83. Silverados is just under that at 82-day supply. So and GM is at 78. So GM, they're doing a little bit better with than Ford is on keeping their inventories low. But it was, I think, last month they actually cut a little bit of their production. Really, all these manufacturers, they're going to have to do that. I really think next month you're going to start seeing Ford come out saying, okay, we got to shut down some plants. I don't know what reason they're going to give because they're still saying demand is there. GM saying demand is there, but these numbers say that demand is not there. If you're approaching a 100-day supply on your trucks, people aren't buying them. All right, electric vehicles. This is interesting. It says they have a 75-day supply. This is going to include Tesla too. So as all these electric vehicles are raising day supply, you already see that Tesla has come out and they've done lots of price cuts. So this is exactly what they're seeing. That I mean, times are getting bad, and Tesla is going to stay on top of it. If they stop selling their vehicles, if they see that demand is going to continuously get crushed, you're going to see even more price cuts because they're going to sell vehicles, and these other manufacturers, they're going to have to do the same thing. And I'll just run through the rest of them real quick. Mid-size utilities, 53 days, full-size utilities, 47 days, compact utilities, 42 days. And this is interesting, mid-size cars, 32 days. So the reason why you're seeing mid-size cars way down is because they're just not making them anymore. I mean, if you want a four-door car, you've got to go, you can't go domestic anymore. You got to go Honda, Toyota, Nissan, because Ford's not making them anymore. GM's not making them anymore. You're not seeing just the average four-door economical sedan anymore from the big three. And I think that's really going to hurt them in the long run because they're not making anything right now that just the average American can really afford to have. I think that's a real bad look for these manufacturers. All right, PT Smith asks, how does a shopper know a car was repoed? Unfortunately, unless the dealer is just going to tell you it was repoed, you're not going to be able to know. So a lot of times when these cars are repoed, they are sent straight to the auction, and it looks like on paper that the car is literally just sold from the individual to the dealership, and then it's retitled to whoever they sell the car to. So you're not going to see it on Carfax, and it doesn't really ever have to get reported, especially if it's from a small used car lot. Like you see these car lots on the side of the road, these buy here, pay here lots that have the $795, the $995 down. Bob's Used Cars, they're not reporting anything to anyone. So whenever they sell a car and customer drives it for 3 months and misses a payment, they go get the car, and if the car is not good enough for them to sell it again, then they'll just ship it right to the auction, dump it, just be a wholesale sell through the auction, and there's never anything recorded on that. So unless you just go in there and say, hey, where did this car come from? And the dealer is able to say, well, I got it from auction and it came from Wells Fargo or Capital One or whoever had it before, then you can know it's a repo, but really probably the dealer's not going to give you that kind of information. The first response asks, are you having any issues being able to get car parts? Yes, especially for this truck I just bought. So a lot of you that watch the channel know that it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago, I bought a 2017 F-150. Got a great deal on it. Sunday, we've got an auction video coming out at 4 o'clock. I'll do a truck update at the end of that video. But we're having to get some parts for that truck. And usually it's something that you could just go into Ford parts, or you could go to even these smaller auto parts stores and be able to just go there and they have them in stock. That's not the case right now, especially for some parts that are not very common or just bought all the time. We're having to order these parts and sometimes waiting 1-2 weeks. I know on the parts that we're getting for my truck, they said it's going to be at least 2 weeks before we even get any of those parts in. All right, Bravo 1969 asks, those bid nods seem subtle. Can you make a video on details how you learn the technical process of bidding? There is nothing technical to the way you bid. Everyone has a different style. You just need to do anything that's going to get the auctioneer's attention and be able to let them know that you're wanting to bid. So I've seen some guys, I mean, like me, I usually raise my hand to just let the auctioneer know that I'm on the car, and then from then I'll just nod my head, and it'll be just a small motion. But the auctioneer will look right at me when I do that bid. I do that small motion, and he knows that I'm actually bidding on that car. I've seen guys that will wink at the auctioneer and get bids. I've seen guys that will like just cover their mouth and just hit it like that. Actually, I do that every once in a while where I'll just put my finger up. I've seen guys that will literally just hold their hand up and just leave it held up the whole time that they're bidding. So even the other person that's bidding on the car can see that, well, they're going to go up again. So if you have a dealer that maybe doesn't like another dealer that does this, and they know that they're going to continuously bid, then they can actually bid more than they even wanted to and make the car more expensive for this other dealer just because they know that they're going to continuously bid. It's not something that I would ever do, but there are dealers out there that are shady, and they just want to run cars up and make you spend more money on a vehicle because maybe they just don't like you for whatever reason, but it happens all the time. But there's no technical process. Everyone has a different style, what they do. You just have to get the attention of the auctioneer, and then you have to let them know that you want to bid on a car. And that's really the only thing that you need to do, and it doesn't really matter how you do it because they want your bid. So if you cough or sneeze or wink or raise your hand on accident and they want that bid, then they're going to take it anyway. All right, got it right here. Just a side note. So the way I ingest media or any kind of news, I like to have the actual paper form. My wife thinks I'm ridiculous, but I don't like to actually read articles on my phone. So this is automotive news. We've got the subscription to it, paid the little bit extra to get the paper every week or whatever. I just need to get out of my old school ways to be able to ingest media more digitally than paper. But I always like to just sit down and read these articles through the paper. But I know I sound like my grandfather. Oh. All right, Bravo 1969 asks, those bid knobs seem... Those bid knobs? Nope. Those bid knob... Not knobs. Those bid nods seem subtle. Why can't I say this word? Or they're just going to absolutely obliterate. I'm not going to say that word because I can't say it. The first response asks, are you having... Nope, let's try it again. Look at the camera. And they have to... No, I don't like that.